What is it? What is going on, guys? Welcome, episode 9, Knights of the Square tablet. Joined by some barely recognizable folks over here. We'll start off with the guy on the bottom, best voice in gaming, and now the cleanest man, shaven man in gaming, Soter Games.
Hey, what up?
What's going on? And the man who's showing off his new Metafy merch. I hope I got that right. The coach also slightly shaved. Mother forced it. You know, Soter Dave. What's going on, Mr. Dave?
Good evening.
It looks like all our fans who've been yelling about us all growing mustaches have completely lost the battle because everyone's copying the champ here, going clean shaven. You know. Anyway, it's been a few weeks, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. We love making content for all you guys, but unfortunately, when you mostly cover one game, sometimes the developers don't give you any content to talk about, and it's been a little bit, so we were just like, we don't want to just half-ass through episodes talking about nonsense, so we took a few weeks off, and now we feel like we have something good for you guys. So
yeah.
You know, and anything new with you guys before we get into main content? I know a lot of stuff's been going on. We've all been competing in events. I know Dave almost won a peasant cap.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to bore you with the details, but basically, you know, tournament here, event here, this and that and the third. Unfortunately, that peasant cap will never be mine. But just the idea that it would have been mine is enough.
You know, I think what I'm going to have to do, Dave, is like find one on Amazon and send one to you and make you wear it during the
yeah, I'd like that.
During the cast. That would be great. And Scotty, what's been going on with you? I've seen you playing a bunch of games, streaming a lot of hours.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Shiv still and a lot of D4 as well. I haven't been. I just did the Emperor Bubbles event with you guys, and that was fun. But
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but nothing too crazy or competitive or anything. You know, just grinding out the TO matches and having fun with the boys. You know, so.
Gotcha. I've been doing much more events, I feel like, the last few months than I ever have in the last 2 years. It's like almost every weekend I'm booked out.
Yeah.
Between the MCL at Tournament Grounds, the clan battles, and what other events are going on. I think there's a free-for-all event coming up soon. I might try to make it. We're gonna see. So
I'm going to keep my title.
You're going?
Yeah.
Well, you know, free for all is my jam, so I'm gonna try to make it if possible. But that community has pissed me off a little bit with the teaming on me when I'm in pubs with them. So we'll see. I don't know how much attention I want to bring to them. Might have to go in disguise again. Like, you know.
I remember last time there were archers and they would target the streamers.
Yeah, I know.
They would do nothing but target the streamers.
Ryan Mold told me that he had people just targeting him the whole time. And
yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go play in something if that's going to happen to me. But.
I mean, in the Emperor Bubbles FFA portion, people were just like running away from me and hiding, or like it was funny. I don't know.
I had
people
the
were
opposite
doing
problem. People walked up to me and did the beg emote like this, and they would like let me kill them.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, I didn't have that.
People
People were coming after me the whole time.
Yeah.
We have the fake Emperor and the fake Stridah, who are both really freaking good. Chasing me around in the TO and stuff. It was really funny though.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get on to our topics. And anyone following the genre will see that Mordhau released on console. It's something that a lot of people thought was a cash grab initially. I think we all kind of had that opinion. One last, you know, shot at some money before we ride off into the sunset for some good old fashioned cocaine and hookers. And
as
you know,
do.
Yeah, as the devs of Mordhau do. You know, good riddance to them. I mean, I hope they have a good time. And it definitely felt like that. As the release got closer, I was kind of excited for it because any competition we get in the genre, to me, is a good thing. And I feel like there were a lot of people, at least I thought there were a lot of people who would have been interested in playing it on console. I don't know how closely you guys have been following.
Yeah,
release.
So like I knew it was released, and I was you know, playing some Shiv the other day, and like people from my chat were telling me, I was like, give me updates on how many people are playing and stuff, and there's a guy that was like, he logged on. There was like one server with like 20 people in it, and then by the end of the night, I think there was like 5 full servers. So I don't know. I think some people bought it, but I don't think it's a population anything that feels sustainable at all.
I don't believe that it's crossplay between computer and console.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, but at the same time, they don't have enough players for that. Maybe So
I think they had to make it console only, because if they released the PC people into those lobbies, it would probably be the greatest ass kicking in gaming history. It's just cruel to put those people who've been playing for 5 years, living and breathing, using like Excel 360 exploits to fucking destroy noobs on controllers. It would have just been cruel. But yeah, as you were saying, I heard the same thing, that very few servers with people, which is mind-boggling to me. I was expecting the game to have about, I'd say, 2,000 concurrent for the first month or so, because sword fighting game looks cool, people are interested. Game is a tremendous amount of fun when you first start playing it. Mm-hmm. And it has that long history of people having a blast up until they get to the point where they have to decide, am I going to take the time to invest and be good at Mordhau, or am I happy that I got to run around as a dwarf with a mallet for several hours and had a blast? You got to choose left or right here.
Yeah.
You know what somebody told me, which I think is true? They said Mordhau has TF2 energy, and Chivalry 2 doesn't. And I agree.
Yeah, I would say that to a degree. I think Mordhau has a charm to it that I was hoping everyone would get to experience for the first time. I'm shocked that the release has fallen this flat. I expected it to sell copies. I didn't expect it to retain players for past the summer. But you're talking about 5 full servers. That's only a few hundred people across all consoles, right? That's insane.
Yeah, I think that everyone has just kind of heard of Mordhau already, and it's already really old game, so I feel like it would have done much better if the console released maybe a few years ago. But
yeah,
what can you do? I guess
what's very interesting about Mordhau is that despite the fact that it's a small game, almost everyone's heard of it. Same thing with Chivalry, right? Every streamer's played it. Most of the time, everyone's seen a clip of it at least once on YouTube or TikTok. They know it exists, just like they do something like For Honor, but somehow not a lot of people are playing it. So I don't think that a release this late in the game is that surprising to a lot of people.
Someone in my chat made a good point. It's also $40, which is...
I was going to say that, yeah. It's a really steep price tag for a 5-year-old game.
Yeah.
I thought $19.99 was probably fair.
That would be even pushing it. I would sell that for
20,
like 15.
20 maximum.
Yeah, 20 max.
That's to me, $19.99 sounded the number. I 39's a little steep, 5 years old, a little steep, missing a lot of features. And do you guys think that's ultimately the deterrent for why people didn't buy it, or?
I don't know. It could also be like marketing. I hardly even knew anybody talking about it. It could be a number of things, but I think $40 when there's already Shiv.
Let's look at it like this.
Shiv for free.
Yeah. That I was just about to say that, right? Let's just assume that you did think that Mordhau was better, right? I don't, but let's just assume you did.
I don't either.
Right? $40, $10 Game Pass. Which one is more worth it?
And with the $10 Game Pass purchase, you get access to hundreds of other games for that $10.
Exactly. So it's not a very enticing offer, to be honest. That Mordhau purchase, it really isn't. I don't think so.
I agree. I guess I underestimated the amount of people, because I just figured there's a lot of people with disposable income who don't mind spending for it. It's just adults who are buying a game. We don't care.
Or people that want to just play it on console and they already have it on PC. It would
I
be
also
fun.
believe
I imagine there were a lot of people who have it on PC who bought it on console just to stomp people. I can almost guarantee there are a lot of people like that who just picked up the.
I think it would be, if there was like some newbie players, it would be fun for someone like me to even pick it up on console, because I wouldn't really have that much of an advantage, because it would feel like a fresh game again almost. Because I'm not good at console, and like
Yeah.
everyone is running around again. Like, but it's probably returning players looking to
You
pwn
know
dudes,
another
but-
aspect that I think
The B players looking for their chance to be the superstars.
Yeah.
Console release.
I think that Mordhau without the mods is pretty hollow. And I don't know if the console version has mods.
It does not have mods, and I believe it doesn't have custom servers. I don't know if it has server browser to actually join their servers, but it doesn't have custom servers.
Okay, yeah, because to me, one of the big reasons why I would play Mordhau over Chivalry, and to be honest, a big reason why I've played Mordhau over Chivalry this year, sometimes, is for the mods. And if I didn't have those mods, I would not have started up the game at all. So I can't imagine myself paying quadruple the price for a game that's not even equivalent to its version on PC.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm always curious, is it more difficult to add that to console games? Because I know Mountain Blade Bannerlord also doesn't have modding scene, which is a great game, and I'm glad the console players got it, but such a significant portion of that game is the mods.
I'm not going to pretend to know, but other games have done
Damn,
it.
I thought Dave was the only
No,
shot at getting
yeah.
that question answered. That's out of my pay
mods
grade.
on console, I have no idea if it's difficult or easy. I'm going to just assume difficult because not a lot of games do it, but at the same time, some games have done it. So it's like, I don't know.
I will say, though, in my opinion, I feel like console gamers tend to be more casual in general. I have the feeling very few console gamers saw Mordhau on their main screen and are like, oh shit, the game don't have mods, I'm not buying it. I feel like most of them probably don't even know the game has mods.
No, but a lot of the reason why you've seen Mordhau blow up is a lot of cool clips that they have, like the Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Star Wars
people
mod.
running around with lightsabers, the survival RPG. No one cares when I mentioned that, but it's a dope open world
It
survival
sounds
game.
awesome.
Yeah,
I do
it
care
is.
that you mentioned it. I've never played a mod in Mordhau. I'll admit that.
It's pretty dope.
It sounds cool. I'm like
Yeah.
always, I should check that out and make a video or something, and I never do.
Or if you're part of the competitive scene in that game, right? Obviously, they have some competitive-based custom maps that they've made to play, and it's like missing out on all of that for higher price. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
Are you able to plug in a mouse and keyboard in Mordhau console? Does anyone know that? That would be an interesting
know.
thing to
Probably.
see.
I don't
and
know.
if you could, then I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's
But,
less of a stigma with keyboard and mouse games on console these days. Like, it's just kind of expected that you should be able to do that on most games.
Yeah,
on console.
Yeah, but I was just thinking that's a big reason. That would be a big plus for it only being, fighting other console players. So no cross parties or whatever. So I don't know. It would just be interesting to see how many people are plugging in their keyboards playing that game.
Well, right now, not many are playing it, so
Yeah. Yeah.
very few.
Yeah,
They
that's
might
true.
have disabled it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if they were smart, they would have disabled it. But with any of these developers, you can't guarantee stuff like that went into the.
And if one guy
thought
bypasses
process.
it, then obviously that guy's going to be significantly stronger against
Yep.
all the people who can't use a keyboard and mouse legitimately. And it's not that hard to bypass it. So,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I will say, to me, I was excited for it to come, and I was hoping I could make some content on it and would be able to, at least for the summer, kind of alternate between games and get a little variety. Because I don't know how Scotty gets on Shiv for like 6 hours a day, like 4 or 5 times a week. Like I can't do it. I break down, man. It's too
No
mentally
way,
fatiguing.
Scotty. No way. I don't
Yeah,
even
like
believe that.
I need some variety. So I was hoping for that. I don't think it's gonna happen. But to me, watching the console release fall flat, no one was streaming the game. I went in on PC that day to try to stream it a little bit on TikTok. My viewership completely plummeted to the floor. And going on in PC, I thought people were like, oh, it's coming out on console, so let me check out the game again and try it out. Because, when something has hype around it, people get interested. 2 servers in NA filled with people, all level 200 plus, just murdering everything. So, I was like, there's just no one interested in it. So, to me, the console release falling flat is the death sentence for Mordhau.
Yeah, I mean, it had a good run. I don't think it's
5
yes,
years.
I don't think it's bad. This genre is low key cursed. All right, no game in this genre just continues to grow after release forever. So
No.
getting that amount of sales while being a relatively small studio, even if we did blow the money on hookers and crack,
Look.
it's still a good run.
The amount of sales they got, they won life the first month it released. That was already, I think, a tremendous win. Probably why the game never got support again is because they were rolling in the bank.
I think they are making a new game. So
I've heard that too.
yeah. So if they are, then hey, it seems like everything worked out.
Yeah, no, I think it's just going to be a bleed out from this point, except for the last few, those people who are on the middle of the day level, max level, still grinding away. They'll stay forever, but I can't see the population ever going back towards the game.
I think it's also a very good job for their first game. That's another.
Oh
important
God!
dimension.
With the amount of early access indie games I played, been sent keys to, what they made is an insane achievement with a small team
It
to have the
dropped
success
and it
they
worked.
did. Like the amount of indie games that come out that you never hear of that are just broken disasters is, I mean, you're talking hundreds of games a day, and for one to come out, sell that many copies, and mostly work. It was a great game for a long period of time. It's really a massive achievement by them. I mean, I'm sure even myself, how many games I've kickstarted or funded and they never came out. Like, this looks amazing. Let me go kickstart it. Yeah. 10 years later, I'm still waiting on Camelot Unchained.
Oh my God. I'm waiting on so many different Indiegogos and Kickstarters.
Yeah, it's so there's a lot of I think for all their faults, you got to give them some credit, because a lot of times these indie devs are just dudes like us who are like, yeah, let's make a game. So
Yes, they liked Chivalry 1 and they wanted to make what they believed to be an improvement, and I believe that in a lot of ways they totally did, and I think that they should be proud of what they made, because they made a good game. While I don't
agree
prefer it
totally.
over Chivalry 2, I still have hundreds of hours in it, so they obviously did something right.
Yeah, I still get the Mordhau better comments on TikTok occasionally. although now sentiment must not be good because people are trashing them in the comments, like just going at them.
Yeah. It makes me think, the strategy, although not implemented perfectly, the Shiv 2 strat of going cross play and in parties was very tactical. I think it is still the major player in the genre right now, but we'll see with there's some other things in the works coming around the corner. But I think we all share the belief that I don't think too much will beat Shiv for a long time.
I don't think Chivalry will be beaten until either Mordhau 2 or Chivalry 3. And I think, like, if Mordhau 2 comes out next year, that will be the king until Chivalry 3 comes out. And I feel like, from what I've seen of the games coming out, it will go in that kind of pattern.
Yeah.
I've said it quite a bit, but for what Chivalry wants to be, nothing will ever beat it. I'm quite confident in that. And that means, like big, large battlefield, epic fights, just the team objective maps. I don't ever believe someone will even try and challenge them in that area, which is why I told you I'm very excited for all the slashers that are coming up, because none of them are actually attempting to. They're all trying to do different things, which is good, because I know that they can't beat Torn Banner at that. So I don't think that Torn Banner will ever get dethroned in that area.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. There are a lot of indie games, but you never know when they're actually going to release, if they will release, or if they will just disappear and you never hear from them again. So we'll see with that. All right, we wanted to get into some Chivalry discussion here and talk a little bit about competitive Chivalry, something that I know me and Dave does it pretty much every week. I've been competing a lot lately, and I know Scotty's had some experiences in the events and stuff. It's always a good time. And I did put a video out on YouTube about the topic, about what skills, what kind of loadouts, the strategies that are different in competitive gameplay than in your normal pub, because things can vary quite a lot from what works against all shitters and then what you have to do when everyone's really good.
I concur.
Yeah, it feels way different. It feels like double time. It feels like a regular TO match, but everything is in double time. Like, when an objective is being pushed, that sucker is going to go down instantly. You have to react way faster. Engineers are hugely important to funneling in the crowds of people rushing. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on good strats?
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts in general. What you said about how you have to rush to things, there is no wasted time in those events. You can't be off a mile away screwing around, killing the shitters, and emoting at them and stuff. It's all business in those things. And what I always notice too is in pubs, everyone is spread out.
Mm-hmm.
In competitive team objective, everyone's where they're supposed to be, so a lot of your fights are like this.
And there's also
people and not a lot of room to move.
There's fights that also happen at weird spots, like at the supply crates or at the notable positions that you normally wouldn't think about in a regular match in TO of being defended and guarded. So
defending those supply crates is the difference between
especially
on some of those objectives.
Like on Fallmeyer. Like, the first objective where you unlock the prisoners. Mm-hmm. Like, there's the supply crate on the side. People are defending that vehemently and, rushing to get around. People are setting up barricades. And it's just, like, much more structured, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's
something I'd like to highlight. I watched your video, Stridah, on what you think about competitive play. And I liked that you highlighted something which is pretty important, that decision-making ends up becoming more important than your mechanical skill.
100%.
But I actually think you're half wrong. And I think it's because you underestimate your own skill. You see, everyone there is good, or at least significantly above average in terms of their capabilities. I believe that if you can't counter at least like half of the attacks coming at you, you're going to have a really, really hard time. There is such a high baseline skill requirement that I saw people on competitive teams that I coached going 1-11.
It is not for the faint of heart.
Exactly.
It is a rude awakening into what chivalry can be. And I remember Moon after one of these he played in. He told me, he's like, that was an extremely humbling experience. He's like, I just got murked the entire time.
Yeah, so
and it is.
I think that mechanical skill requirement is there. It is there. It doesn't make itself apparent because you're not pub stomping anymore. Yeah. But imagine if you were like half as good as you are now, which is still significantly better than your average SEAL, right?
Yeah.
It's like you'd be getting destroyed.
You'd be 100%, and there is a part of that. I just at that level, I feel like everyone is so good that what separates the person at the top of the kill feed and someone who went 15 and 25, there's not necessarily much difference skill-wise between the two. If you talk about mechanics, there are people in some of those in that MCL thing who are probably much stronger mechanically gifted players than I am, and I doubled their kills. And that had nothing to do with my mechanical skill. That had to do with the decisions and the positions I was putting myself in.
I feel like you might be putting too much weight on kills, though. And, like, there's things that you need to do. Like, for instance, like when...
Can never put too much weight on kills.
When Ziggy...
the team who kills more tends to always win.
But what about,
and you notice when your team is getting out-killed.
For instance, like, we were on that Fallmeyer map, right? And then Ziggy went around... like everybody just to knock down like the crates so Thorn doesn't get accidentally hit by there's like little things like that. That's just an example that you could do where you're not really getting kills. I know kills is valuable, but there's also
stuff like that becomes more important in 20v20. But I think like when we're talking about 64 player, it really is just which wall of flesh is more efficient at killing.
Has your wave put down the other wave? So,
exactly.
I know. I don't know what Sky's talking about. He's guilty of just fucking killing shit all day too.
No, but I'm saying like well, you were saying like these people that with more mechanical skill are getting less kills. So I'm just maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they're playing a little bit more the objective or something.
I noticed that. The balance of the maps is better in 20v20, and also strategy matters more in 20v20. Because, like, let's say, how can I put this? If you're a good squad of 4 and you're making good decisions, you're a very small portion of the team in 64 player. But in 20v20, you're like a fifth of the team. So your individual actions matter a lot more and they have a larger impact, both if you do badly or if you do good. So I do believe that when it comes to the actual decisions you make and if they keep you alive or if they get you killed, they actually can help you win easier or help you lose if you're doing poorly. So that's why that's not only why I like 20v20 more, but that's also why I think it's more based on strategy than skill. But like I said, that baseline skill is necessary. If you go in and you are not just good, you need to be extremely skilled, then you get instantly whooped and put down by the horde.
And on the kill topic, okay, and this goes good into what Dave was just saying. I still think the greatest determining factor in winning Chivalry team objective games is significantly outkilling the other team. If they're at the respawn, you can do the objective very easily.
Yes.
And you'll see that sometimes. In my last event, there were some real tough fights at the Gallon Court choke points and stuff. But once a team wipes and wins the fight, the objective is done. There was no strategy to getting around it. There couldn't really be. They needed to win the fight, wipe the team. And once the numbers are different, I feel like the team objective, a lot of times you get a few picks, and this is where the people who struggle in those lobbies, like Dave brings up, if you have a few of them on your team instantly getting destroyed in every fight, all of a sudden you have a ton of really good players with a 3 or 4 player advantage, which means the fight's going to snowball. So it's like ultimately like giving those kills and taking those kills is one of the biggest factors in winning. If you're smart enough to see who those people are, like, oh, this fool over here is isolated, I'm going to go stab him in the back. You could just have turned the fight right there.
It comes down to the fact that Chivalry 2 doesn't really have a lot of things to do with the subclasses. The only subclass that does anything that isn't killing is Engineer. That's it. Like everyone else's job is go kill or do the objective. And the objective is usually a lot easier when their team is dead. So,
and sometimes you can do both at the same time.
Or, yeah,
like you'll see the people carry the barrels, launch them into the middle of the bridge, and then go fight. So they're there, but you got to win the fight.
The defenders will defend the objective, and so you got to kill the defenders. And the attackers will try and take the objective, so you got to kill them before they get to it. And obviously that doesn't mean kill like an idiot, right? Killing intelligently is definitely better than killing like an idiot. I mean, but yeah. It does straight up come down to killing.
If you go to kill like an idiot in those things, you're going to get put down anyway, immediately.
I think that's why strategy ends up losing out on 64 player, because not losing out obviously, but just becomes less important, at least compared to your actual skill and decision making on the fly, because there is only 2 things to do. And if you're not one of the engineers, which are always limited in competitive because they're overpowered, then your job is to kill. That's it.
That's awesome that you brought up the engineers, because those are the real MVPs in those things. Engineers can like single-handedly stall out enough for spawn waves to come and save an objective.
Totally overpowered on 64 player.
Those little tricks too.
They should not be allowed on 64. They should not be allowed.
The like the bridge on Lion Spire, setting up a ramp so people can get like those little like things like that engineers can do that people might not know about if they're just playing TO casually. It's like really impactful as well, I think.
100%. The knowledge the engineers need to do some of that stuff, along with actually pulling it out while not getting just instantly murdered in those lobbies, is pretty wild, and it's so important. If you've played with a good engineer, so important. If you played with no engineers, you see the need for them real quick.
It's not possible. It's not possible to win on defense without engineers on 64 player.
That last event that we played, Dave, I don't remember which team in my Discord. The one team for the first 2 points of Galen Court had no engineers, and they just got ran clean over until they brought out some engineers. And then it was actually, I believe it was Dave's team. They brought out engineers, and then they were slowly able to. I think they won Galen Court in the end, but it took 2 points for them to figure it out. And then once they went engineers, it was very difficult.
Yeah, I totally hate how it is, because they're either on some points they're worthless. Think of like the Aberfell, the Hamlet. What is the engineer?
Would you say it's even worthless to protect some of the healing crates there?
Yeah, you can kind of do
I
a
mean,
little
you-
bit, but nothing
you
as
could,
major as
but
other
yeah,
points.
But like it's not that big of a deal, right? You just got to stand on the hamlet, and the walls aren't going to do much for you there because it's so wide.
It's so open,
and
yeah.
so engineer always becomes basically either 100% necessary or totally 0% worthless. And I wish it wasn't like that, but I don't know what they could do to fix that. So,
And the thing in pubs is they're generally just wasted.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you see an engineer put up walls in pubs and they're just immediately down? Like, if you went to the pub player perspective, they'd be like, oh, why do we have these guys? They do nothing.
people are having fun; they don't want to play around it. But
Yeah.
in competitive, they do nothing but play around the walls because why would I not work with my team?
The walls are annoying, man, and it doesn't seem like it takes that much to destroy them until you're in a crazy fight trying to get it down as people are coming at you, and then you're like,
the
it's
problem
really
is
annoying.
walls don't take damage bonuses for no reason. So axes and blunt weapons usually do worse against walls, and that's kind of
why you
annoying.
might need some aggressive engineers too for knocking down barriers faster. But
Necessary, absolutely
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah. I've seen plenty of people in those things go engineer on offense, either to wall people into spawns or to claim and put barriers around those healing stations, or even like just to get that bonus damage on the statues and stuff. It's so important.
You know what I know you don't like, but I love competitive LTS. The true competitive game mode.
I watched one of the matches for maybe 10 minutes that you casted.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Well-
watched like 10 minutes of it.
What I find interesting is what is effective in team objective is not necessarily less effective, but the meta is slightly different in LTS. And also, I think that the meta is a little bit more strict. For example, they only allow one Pullman on LTS because they believe that sprint charge is extremely overpowered. And they also they have a one spear limit, so they don't allow more than a single spear type weapon. I think
So is that one spear or halberd, or is it just you can run spear and halberd?
it's one spear or halberd.
And what do
and-
people tend to run?
It depends on the person. Most people, I think, like to run spear, but a lot of the good teams like to run halberd because for the Pullman, halberd is a lot better as an actual weapon to defend themselves, even if it may not be as good at poking from afar. And a lot of people either consider it to be just as good as the spear or slightly better or slightly worse. So it's not really that big of a deal. It just comes down to preference.
I'd
Spear-
assume it brings a little bit more versatility to it, at least.
Yes, spear typically being seen as the better support weapon, halberd being seen as the better one for independent Pullman gameplay. There's some very interesting metas that develop in competitive LTS that you don't see in a lot of other game modes, at least not as often, like maintaining double sprint. It is extremely important to maintain double sprint in competitive LTS. And the team that maintains it against the other team usually wins out. And I've noticed that a lot.
I almost started crying laughing. I have to bring up this comment, even though I usually know from my chat. Velvet Hammer came out and said weapon limits are for betas, and I almost lost it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. They also ban quarterstaff.
Oh my god, I hate the quarterstaff.
Well, yeah, I find it very interesting.
What weapons? Okay, good. Even in TO, you have the sport. What do like the frontline fighters tend to run? What's like the meta weapons that you guys run in
Well,
LTS?
what you would expect: Messer, heavy mace, great sword, and basically anything with good range that allows you to hit multiple people at once. But because there's a lot less factors in LTS, there's a lot less people to focus on. That means that a lot of the players get to actually like focus in when they actually play, and they get to counter a lot of attacks easier. So it becomes a lot more skill dependent. And obviously, with less people, your individual actions matter a lot more.
And I would assume, since it's so much less people, that the hit stops is not as much of an issue. So you'll see more people trying to, break people's stam with the mauls and the heavy mace. Is that true, or are we still seeing mostly swords?
Depends on the players. Hit stop is still a pretty big negative.
It's still okay.
But obviously, it's a lot less of a negative because when you counter an attack, you actually stop the weapon from traveling through, which means it won't cleave. And a lot
Yes.
more players are countering, so
countering.
obviously hit stop is less important.
Gotcha. That's really interesting, because the heavy mace and stuff is so good, but it can be frustrating in a clusterfuck. And I noticed when I was watching you guys, it seemed like I know very little about the competitive LTS. I think my opinion on LTS in general has been long documented, but it seemed all the teams had different plays and strategies. It's like they went to their playbook before each round and like, okay, we're running this, and you see people all run off in different directions like it was a football play.
Yes,
how does that
there's a
stuff
lot more strategy
come up?
involved. Well, each team is different, so obviously we don't know every team's strategies. They all got their own little
I
ideas.
think you know the process at least, Dave,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course. It generally becomes either splitting into groups, right? Different players have different roles, either support, frontline, or flanker. It usually devolves into one of those three, I notice. Some of them try to get a little bit more complicated, but their complications usually just involve combining two of those roles and then flexing between them as they see fit during the match. I don't see any extremely complex galaxy brain strategies form beyond a combination of those three roles within the 5 people that they have.
Okay. And I'm assuming like a lot of the actual combat comes down to, since everyone is so strong mechanically, it comes down to a lot of like target switching and stuff. Is that all communicated in Discord, how you guys are going to do that stuff? Or is it just
A lot
like
of it is on the
you
fly.
see an opportunity?
Of course there are callouts. Callouts are necessary, but a lot of it is on the fly because Chivalry is just such a fast game, you know?
Yeah. So it's like you guys have your basic idea, but if you see an opportunity, you take it. Or if someone makes a mistake.
Pretty much. We call out, obviously, if someone's about to hit you in the back, you should call that out. If you die and then the person who just killed you is about to run up and hit your teammate, you should call that out. You call out all the obvious stuff, and you don't call out the stuff that's too quick for you to actually have your teammate react to it.
And now, Dave, I believe your team is the top LTS squad, correct?
We don't play right now. So in the end, we're not even in the current NCL.
Not even in this season.
But we won the last one.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's probably what. And I know you guys have, like multiple of the top duelists, so I figured you guys would do extremely well.
Yeah, we do well. We do well.
Yeah. So who are the top dogs right now?
At the moment, it would be a clan called Delirium. And you know, Randy's in there.
Yeah, very familiar.
They have a lot of good players, pretty much just as good as Mirage, if not better. And obviously, they're in the current season, and they're currently winning.
Okay, well, glad to see my boy Randy doing well. That's the homie. And now the dueling is a little bit easier to follow, I would say, competitive dueling than the LTS.
Yes.
And it's something that's been around since the
most boring competitive
since the game started, and it's never really taken off, like view wise and stuff, like esport.
It's tough to kind of cast it as well, especially without like private servers and like stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to watch unless you're really into it or you're in it, right? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Shiv is just best played in groups in LTS TO style. It's really designed for that, I think. And
yes, you're right. When it comes to what the game is designed for and the competitive viability of the game is at its worst in duels. But, big but here, there is nothing like putting one ego against another.
Yeah.
And then saying, ha, I beat you. There is nothing like that. There will never be anything like that. It is very reminiscent of the fighting game genre, and that's why there is such a catharsis to the people who obviously are dueling and why it's so fun. Dueling is also one of the only ways to actually practice in Chivalry, because there is no way that you can just host an LTS game by yourself.
Right.
And yeah. And Dave, so I've always said this, but Dave is experienced in every game mode at a competitive level.
Not free for all.
As far as I know, there's only been one free for all competition. So
yeah, pretty much.
So like, how is the game different in those one-on-one scenarios than how you're fighting in something like Team Objective? Because I've told people before, I was like, it's almost you're playing a different game if you go with how the two are played.
There's usually two types of dueling: the one where you try and survive, and the one where you try and kill. What I like about competitive LTS is you're really focused on killing quickly, because let's just assume you're in a 5v5 and all 5 players on both teams split up into their individual duels, right? That's not how it always happens. Obviously, team fighting is way more fun and it's just more common. But let's just say that happens. If you're in your duel and you don't die, but one of your teammates does, or two of your teammates do, then you guys are going to slowly get ganked over and over until you are in a 1v5, and then you lose. So it starts to become more interesting of not just how can I beat this guy, but also how can I beat this guy in 10 seconds or less. And that is so fun, and it usually involves mind games and mix-ups, and something that feels very much like you're playing a fighting game, and instead of a slasher. But I still like it.
I kind of feel the same way in TO though. Like that's I've been dueling a bit more lately. I don't know, and I feel like in duels, it's much more of like a stamina game. Like you're paying way more attention to your stamina, and then
in duels you're focusing on winning, not winning fast. In team fights, you're focusing on winning fast.
And in
That's
TO,
the difference.
and in TO, just like kind of what you said in LTS, it's like I concentrate a lot on trying to kill someone as fast as possible, or I'm backing off because I know I'm outnumbered or I'm in a bad position. But LTS is kind of like that as well, except it's like always sort of a group fight unless you're splitting into 1v1v1s, which rarely happens. And you're splitting your time between, you know, trying to see where your teammates are at in relation to you and the enemy, and maybe quickly killing off a few guys and then going on to the next fight strategically, trying to surround each other. Also in LTS, do you guys play on the competitive maps like Gallencourt? Because I know there's like two groups that start on either side, and like what happens a lot, at least in the matchmaking form of LTS, is one side will just get destroyed and the others just collapse on the other side. It doesn't matter
because LTS is played 5v5, so all of the players spawn together anyway. Because it's a small enough group to where they don't get split.
I think if I'm correct, you guys don't actually put the mode to LTS in the server browser, right? You guys play on a free-for-all or a team deathmatch server?
Most of the time they do an actual LTS server. Okay. But during one tournament, they decided to do a team deathmatch server instead.
That might have been what I watched.
To make it go by because LTS had issues. By the way, every update LTS breaks. That doesn't help its competitive scene at all.
Oh, man. Well, I wish they would put it back on the menu because we just got announced Volley, so.
Oh, God.
Is Volley really coming back?
It's coming back again.
If you
We're
guys,
running it back like the fourth time.
Jesus
when you guys are playing just like Pub TO, right? You ever get into a fight with a guy for more than like 10 or 15 seconds and you're like, God, this guy won't let up? And it just feels irritating? That's like the weird feeling you get when you notice that you're not helping the team. You're caught up in this duel, and it's basically just draining your effectiveness on the battlefield. Because if you weren't fighting this guy, even if you didn't kill him, but you knew if you could just get away, that you could do so much more. That's how it feels in a competitive environment to kind of be, I call it being trapped, or marked, or man-marked. Kind of like in a sport, you know? Guy just marks you, and he's not really too focused on beating you in any meaningful way, but just
distracting you enough.
Yeah, nullifying your effectiveness as much as possible. And
you gotta kill him, but you can't kill him, so you're stuck. And the whole time you're like, fuck, I got to get out of this.
Exactly.
I've had that happen in the comp TOs where I got caught out of position and I was dueling someone for somehow neither got ganked an excessive amount of time. And I'm trying to like pull out all the stops and get the wildest drag because I'm like, I got to fucking kill him because I got to go.
Yeah,
I got to go.
You're like, I got shit to do. I got to work, man. And then it's so funny.
I think it does. It changes the combat when you know there's a time limit. You have to kill someone because then you're gonna stay in that kind of back and forth more. There's gonna be less moving out of range, back in range, all that stuff, and you're gonna have to take more risk, pull out the moves early. You can't spend 30 seconds conditioning someone.
Fortunately,
because you're gonna get stabbed in the back.
This actually works in some people's favor in competitive LTS because you'll have a not so good player. Who at least is decent enough to actually keep himself alive.
And their job is just stay up.
The good guy. Yep, be like, hey, that guy.
You're just defense.
busy. Keep that guy busy and don't let up. And it actually works to quite a good degree. Another thing, people who are very specialized in surviving 1vx's, they'll actually try and grab the attention of multiple people and just not die.
So
and if
you
they
hold
cannot
off these
die,
guys while we go gank one of their weaker players, and then we'll be back.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, surprisingly, in competitive LTS, you really only have to keep like 2 guys busy for like 10 seconds. And then the profit starts to show. Their team starts getting ganked and going down in numbers. And then by that point, it doesn't even matter if you died. The other 2 are about to get destroyed.
I'd imagine with some of the Vanguard like movement and dodging, it could be very frustrating to get them out of there or force them into that
Yes.
fight where you can kill them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Some classes actually become a lot more useful. I think that Man-at-Arms is a very bad class in Team Objective, but I think he's a very good class in LTS because that shield obviously becomes more valuable because it keeps getting refurbished every round. And also, the dodges are very good at surviving like 2 or 3 people. They're not good at surviving 10 people in TO, but they're very good at surviving like 2 or 3 and just kind of like juggling them and not dying,
right? Just
and
keeping them just out of range, or just keeping one of them in your range where you can counter and just keep moving. I could see that being extremely frustrating.
That's what's most interesting to me in this topic, that the game balance initially doesn't seem that balanced to a lot of people, but in different modes, the metas change, and it's very interesting to see that. I think it's the worst in duels, but it gets a lot better in LTS and TO in different ways, and I like that a lot.
I've heard the metas are even different in every region, which is always interesting to me. I don't know what is true or not, but I heard something about Asia and archery. Like, so I've never seen them play, but I've heard the metas are different per region, which is nutty.
Archery will never be meta.
No. Speaking, we didn't talk about competitive viability of archery, and I'm firmly of the opinion, unless you're Stepbo or Dave, you're a detriment to the team. If you're in comp. Like,
I agree.
You just lost the game at Champ Select.
The main advantage of Archer is that you can kill people without them being able to defend themselves. And that's really good in a competitive lobby because competitive players are good at defending themselves. But the actual kill rate of Archer is very low compared to melee weapons. So it ends up just not being too useful if you can't hit your shots. I mean, that seems obvious. It is obvious.
Well, you not only have to hit your shots, you have to hit them at a faster rate than the melee players can kill people in the melee.
Yeah, and you need to target the good players too. That can be quite difficult. But
yes, thank you for telling me about the peasant cap I was running around.
Yeah, unfortunately, all those good players, man, they got the best drip. It's very easy to spot them.
But I always said, to me, what makes it so hard for them, unless you're able to consistently hit shots at the rate of like someone like myself, Scotty, Randy, Peon, those guys can kill people in the melee. Unless you can keep that pace, it's not viable. Because then you miss a few shots and all of a sudden we started that melee up 2 people. Now we're up.
It's
3,
only
4,
viable
5
maybe
people.
if you want to like arch someone off the ballista or
Yeah,
something. You can
a
you
lot
can
of
have
objectives. You can't be an archer on that objective. You'll die, and so that is a big detriment to playing archer.
Yeah, and as I said, unless you're Dave or Stepbo, it's probably not going to work. I was watching in my last event, one of the guys got to Dave in melee range. I'm like, oh boy, he don't know what he's about to get into. Like, about to get
A lot of the
on.
reason why crossbowman is even considered viable is because he has a banner. If he didn't have that banner, most likely people would just consider archer bad flat out, like not even worth playing. And I kind of agree with them.
Yeah, I mean. So with the cross, I've never, I have like no experience on archer, but so with the team utility it brings along with the one-shot potential, that's what makes it more viable.
It's mainly just that he generates banners faster than Guardian. You get more banner charge if you land a headshot, and so if you can land more headshots, you get more frequent banners. So if you're not hitting your shots, not healing your team. If you are hitting your shots, you're healing your team more than a Guardian.
Mm-hmm. So just the amount of pure utility you can bring, it's like the skill cap on that is so high that you can just be nonstop putting out banners. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
If you not a lot of people consider. Well, some people consider Bowman good in TO, in competitive TO. I don't. I consider him very low tier. His only utility is killing other archers.
Yeah, I think we have similar opinions in that. It's like, to me, like a Widowmaker in Overwatch or something. Unless they can consistently hit all of their shots the whole game, they're gonna miss at some point, and then they fuck the team.
I agree.
And yeah, all right, let's move along here. We got a little bit of time. I hope everyone enjoyed the competitive discussion. Our last topic is about the long-term viability of the slasher genre, since now I don't know how long the genre has been around. When did Chivalry 1 come out, Dave? I'm clueless on this. Let's say
A decade ago.
Okay, decade-long genre, and they've been notorious for poor player retention.
Yes.
Yes. So I think what we're going to talk about is just the genre. Where is the potential here? Like, is there any potential that we could push into something bigger? Like where are we going?
Yeah.
What do we think the
So-
long-term viability is here?
I looked at a few other games and just like overall at the gaming industry, and I kind of saw some trends how even in games that people considered to be inoffensive and great and servicing their community to pretty much the highest degree, they would still have poor retention if the skill ceiling was high enough. And I believe that it is possible, I'm not saying it is, that it's possible that Chivalry has a high enough skill ceiling to where even if we had no issues with our game, that it would not grow after a few years.
And you see this, I know you put down in our document, you think this is just kind of like fighting games in general?
Yeah, I think Chivalry can be compared to the fighting game genre in that the skill ceiling is very high and it becomes inaccessible to newer players the more the game is out, the longer the game is out. I mean, so
yeah,
if
I
a new
would
player
agree
wants
with
to
that,
get
yeah.
in now, especially if they want to get into the game competitively, then minimum he's going to have to train 2 years to catch up to the other players who have been training for 2 years. And even if we say he has to train half that time, right? That's still a year. Like that's not right. You know, no one wants to
No.
train a year to be competitive at something. So it ends up being like, okay, what, you know, is this completely inaccessible to new players? And the question is, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I would still say it's better than other genres like Dota 2, for instance. You need like 30 years. You need like 20 years. Like, these people have been studying the game for, like, my brother, he's been playing it, you know, forever, dude, and that's the only game they've ever played. So I think it is a little bit better than other games, and you can kind of there's a lot of there's dueling, and I feel like I've seen so many people just from my stream get good really, really fast if they really want to. So I don't think it's not possible, but it's definitely harder. But I definitely agree. Like, I was a big Mortal Kombat player, and like the longer that the game's out, there's fewer players that are your skill level to play. The player pool becomes smaller, and you're fighting the same badasses over again. So I think that's one of the bigger problems too, and which is going to be very important, is to constantly getting fresh new blood into whatever game is the most popular in that genre. Like Shiv 2, for instance, the updates help a little bit bringing fresh blood. The PS4 introduction was huge. And that was like a great time for new players to come in too. So for me, like, if this genre is going to succeed, they need to find a way to refresh the amount of blood that's in the game currently, while also making veterans happy at the same time, which is kind of hard to juggle a little bit, especially in a competitive environment. You know, more competitive games are high skill ceiling games, right? But
I have a weird kind of thought process on this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think if you eliminated all of the jank from Chivalry or Mordhau, the skill cap in the game is still high enough that people would be really good at it and still be able to beat people easy. So if you took out all the ballerina stuff, all the reverse overheads, all that stuff, if you just played in the confines of how the game is supposed to be, I still think that's a high enough skill cap for people. So I think if a game maybe eliminated some of that stuff, you would get a little bit better retention.
Did Chivalry 2 eliminate enough of it, do you think?
I think for general lobbies, they eliminated quite a bit of it, so it's a lot better than Mordhau. And I also think doing a lot of that stuff is so gate-kept that such a small percentage of the player base knows how to do it, and it's not really that much of a problem. Because if you're playing in a 64
I think it's perfect
player,
the way it is right now.
yeah,
you know, lobby, it's not going to happen too much. But there are people who go past that and like, hey, I want to go get better, I'm going to hop into the free-for-all lobby, and they just get absolutely shit stomped by the level 800s, and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm never going to fucking learn how to do this. And, you know, a lot of that information stuff's not accessible, but I think there are people like, I mean, all three of us play pretty much bread and butter. You don't need to do that. So I think they could remove that stuff and make it a little bit more accessible and tone it down a little bit, and it would be a step in the right direction.
I also wonder that if they fixed everything, would newer players have a harder time killing veterans if everything was like perfect?
In TO,
because there is some squirrely stuff that happens that I don't know. It's just a funny thing I thought of.
I think it's important to say a game can be not viable long term, but still be very successful. So remember I was talking about the fighting game genre, right? I think that the fighting game genre has poor player retention across the board in the entire genre, no matter how good the game is. I know. Not a lot of people do, but at the moment, they're extremely profitable, and there are a ton of fighting games that release all the time. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and the newest Guilty Gear Strive, Dragon Ball FighterZ. They keep releasing like hotcakes, and they keep selling too.
Sell a tremendous amount of copies.
But their players always stop playing over time, and they don't grow over time. And I think that's because they become less accessible as people get better in them. And I believe that it's possible that Chivalry could be like that, but that's not the worst thing, because the fighting game genre is healthy and striving and gets more games made for it and is growing. It's just that the individual games don't grow past their initial boom.
I also think what helps the fighting games like you're talking about is its viewability. I don't think that duels and stuff have good viewability yet. Like watching,
I think it depends how they're watched.
Yeah.
If you watch someone duel in first person, like I could put a clip up and people love watching a first person duel clip. Now, if you're in spectator mode, watching someone cast it, unless the caster is very engaging, it's not that exciting to watch. Right.
And then you compare that to watching like a Street Fighter tournament or a Super Smash Brothers tournament. You can see everything that's happening. It's very understandable. I think I think maybe Shiv might be casted too much in the spectator mode, and not like it would be cool if there was a mod to be able to see. You can switch between the perspectives of the fighters. That would be nice.
I think that's one of the best things about like the Twitch rivals or stuff like that. They do. They go right into the person's perspective and then commentate about what they're doing. And I think that's what kind of keeps it engaging. And like I watch quite a bit of. I've gone into the rabbit hole of watching. EA UFC TikTokers. I got into watching that because I was into the boxing game Undisputed that came out. I'm very into that type of fighting game, and I got sent. Now they're all on EA UFC, and it's very exciting because you get big moments, and then everyone's hyping. You're watching the streamer. You hit someone with a head kick. Everyone like that's cool no matter what. You hit a spinning back kick, and like you're watching them do it. So I think like stuff like that, and right when you're down there with the streamer is what makes it a little bit more exciting. Unfortunately,
Chivalry 2 doesn't have any spectator tools.
I think if they had some way of getting in like one of those elite like duelists, like their first person perspective or whatever, even without playing in first, it would be much more entertaining to watch, and they kind of alternated between people. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of creative things they could do with the spectator for sure. It would be cool to even have peasants in the audience that are like Twitch viewers that are like that can like throw stuff from the crowd into the. They can like,
hey, that's stuff we did.
Like after the match or something, you can like do a Twitch command or something, and like you can be a peasant that's like throwing.
Dude, thumbs up or thumbs down for execution.
Thumbs up or thumbs down. That'd be dope. Like there's a lot. I feel like. Private servers and stuff could be potentially huge for making the viewing experience of these things better. They're just terrible now, man. And I think
they wouldn't let players into the private servers.
No. I mean, like they could have like there's this game, I forget what it's called, but I think it's like Minion Masters. But when you're streaming it, your if you do the Twitch integration, your audience kind of appears as these little monsters that are in the crowd. That's and you can actually like they can actually like do a command and like the monster will cheat. That's what I'm talking about. Like even some kind of Twitch integration, like just to make the viewing experience
engaging
really cool,
engaging people especially people who are watching, is one of the best ways to hold their interest.
Yeah, and
But
if
I was thinking of like one of my next events, I was like, I gotta look into if there's like a third party thing where we could have people like put in bets and like pool like $1 a bet, and it doesn't have to be anything but crazy, but just like something to increase the incentive.
Yeah, I do.
Like, increase the engagement.
I do bets on some games sometimes on my stream, and people enjoy it. But you also gotta have something good to spend the points on, which is the TTS I've integrated. So like, people are into that. But I really think that like the chances that people are gonna play the game go way up if like people are having fun in the game category on Twitch, YouTube, wherever, watching and experiencing the game. Even if they're not good at it, they want to experience the culture of it, right? And I think that's one of the most important things to player retention as well. Like,
I always said, to me, the genre has everything it needs for mainstream appeal. Medieval movies are some of the most popular movies ever created. Like games like Kingdom Come Deliverance, The Witcher 3 is close enough. Like, there are enough people interested in this type of atmosphere. It just needs the right studio.
Yeah, it's always
the right marketing.
It's always kind of baffled me how
and the
there's
right
not
streamers
more
playing it.
Yeah, it's always kind of baffled me how there's
I've said
it's
before
not
how
bigger.
it is big though. That's what I'm saying. It is big. It does not have a big core player base, but Chivalry is not a small name. Every streamer played it.
Yeah.
Everyone saw it on YouTube and Twitch. Everyone knew, like, when it popped up, right, and when it released, and even, you know, for quite a few updates, it was big. It just didn't keep anyone.
I think For Honor is kind of like the example of what could be, except the game is so bad. And it still has popularity because it came from a big studio.
Well, For Honor is
lot
just
of
a fighting
marketing.
game. Like,
Yeah,
flat
it's
out.
straight-
Yeah.
it's straight up like Tekken or
Whenever
something.
people come on my stuff and it's like, "Oh, play For Honor," I'm like, For Honor and Chivalry are nothing alike.
Yeah, they're not the same, man.
They're not anything like the same amount of experience. It's like playing Mortal Kombat or Dynasty Warriors or something, but it's not like playing Chivalry.
Right.
But like, I think it at least though shows what that game sold a ton of copies and maintained a good amount of players.
Still sells.
And I think
people
more
like it.
more in name value than it did in actual game quality. Looks gorgeous, looks really cool. But I think that AAA marketing, the AAA attention to details that keep casuals in, I think that's what separates.
Well, they
it.
also hit on all three fronts: Samurai, Vikings.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Knights.
Look, I have no problem with it. The characters look sick. Everything looks cool. And I don't see why Chivalry, with their graphics, the resources behind them, the marketing, and just the changes they would make to more casualize the game, I don't see why that couldn't be as popular or more so than For Honor. In my opinion, it's such a better game. If they released... For Honor 2 and made it like Chivalry.
For Honor has waifus.
Yeah, the
says
problem
Reef.
is, yeah, that too, right? Yeah, it's For Honor has a very, like, I think a good assortment of casts. You know, a good assortment of casts. A good cast, and all the characters are pretty recognizable. A lot of people know Lawbringer, even though they've never played For Honor. He just looks so cool.
I played for one day and I recognized the knight and the guy with the axe.
Yeah, Warden, Raider, right? Cool characters. Chivalry's more like create your own character. Not a bad thing, obviously. I think also just like, again, if you're not infatuated with Chivalry 2's combat system, there's not a lot of game there for you. Mm-hmm. I watched a guy.
To me, that's the addictive part. Is the combat?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, let's say you weren't too infatuated with the game's combat, right? Let's say you were just playing a video game as if you play any other video game. There's nothing there for you. I watched a guy who streams Dark and Darker played this. I think he was. I think it was Jonah Vale. I don't know who it was. Right.
I played with him in Twitch Rivals.
Yeah, and like. He was playing it, and I saw him playing Chivalry 2, and he unlocked the Master's Cut. The haircut, the little bowl. And he looked at it, he just got pissed. He's like, what the fuck is this? This fucking stupid haircut. Why am I going to play this game? There's nothing here. And then he like turned it off and he just didn't want to play. And he was just like, he's like, why am I even fighting these people in this lobby? I'm not getting anything from it. And he got really, he sounded like he hated this game. And it was just like, I couldn't even
The thrill of the game, my man. The thrill of the game.
Exactly.
That's why you're in there.
Yeah, if you're not totally infatuated with the gameplay and its combat, then there's nothing there for you. That's the problem. For Honor has so much stuff, and it is just stuff. And a lot of other games have stuff, and Chivalry 2 is very hollow outside of its actual gameplay, which is the best gameplay.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but yeah,
I love. Yeah,
that's why I'm here.
To me, the
right?
combat is so addicting, and I think. I guess I tend to gravitate towards that games like that where you can recognize your mistakes and kind of focus on how to improve in it, and it's very clear cut. Like I really enjoyed playing the Undisputed Boxing again, but that's a very similar thing where it's not like a button mashing like Street Fighter. It's very skill based. Like I can see this person's punches coming, I can slip them, and then you can kind of learn on those mistakes. And to me, that's the addictive thing. And I guess I'm weird in that, or we all are, but I don't know. I don't understand how more people can't play and just be like, oh man, I want to get good at this game. The combat is so good. I don't know. But yeah.
Should we take some questions? I've got
yeah.
Does For Honor keep new players longer because it has skill based matchmaking? It's kind of off-putting when you run into 500 plus people. That's the question.
I don't think it does have skill based matchmaking. Because I know they had a ranked mode in For Honor, but it does?
Has ranked mode or something like that?
No, it did have ranked mode. I don't think people play the ranked mode.
I played it last summer, and it will even, after your matches, give you like a bar on how much higher or lower the person you played's elo was than you. So it'll prioritize trying to find you a match. It might go a little bit above and beyond, but it'll tell you after, like, oh, you might have been supposed to beat this guy. He's ranked a little bit higher, or oh, it's a weird time of day. We had to move past. This guy was supposed to stomp you, and he did. So
I doubt that that's a significant reason, but I definitely would think that getting beat by a level 500 in Chivalry is not a fun experience.
I think For Honor probably also can pull from more players than Chivalry can. So
yeah. I think the whole player pool thing is a problem that they need to get over. Right? They could do so much.
I've done some thinking, and I feel like Chivalry at any time, because the only thing we have public is Steam charts, which Chivalry tends to have about 2,000 people on at all times on Steam. And I figure they probably have this about the same on every other platform, give or take. Epic probably has the most for PC. Then you got Xbox and PlayStation. So I feel like concurrently you're talking about 8,000 to 10,000 people probably on at any time.
You could honestly say double that. Estimate. I think you could say double that fairly reasonably.
I think it's a soft estimate. But I still feel like that's not enough players to put a system like that in, because as Dave has said, as Scotty knows, we run into a lot of the same people in server, even with that amount of people.
We run into a lot of the same people in every server, and also only one game mode realistically is playable. I mean, if you've ever matchmaked for anything besides 64 player, you know how dreadful it is. You know how annoying it is. So clearly we have a player count issue, right? We're not retaining players, and we ran out of markets to go free to play on. So
I think. Yeah. I think we have a healthy amount of player base for if you want to play the game, but if you want something like skill-based matchmaking or whatever, you don't have enough players for that. It's just not
I don't think you do, but I think if you got rid of the unranked versions of them, then you would. If I deleted 3v3 and only had ranked 3v3, I think you'd see some people queuing for that.
Well, I don't want to jump down the rabbit hole of skill-based matchmaking, but skill-based matchmaking should only be in ranked modes, and it should only be based on your elo or skill. Games like Call of Duty or Apex Legends, their skill-based matchmaking is not actually skill-based. They feed you wins or losses based on an algorithm.
That's the casino algorithm.
So they want to keep you playing.
Yeah, their skill-based matchmaking is keep you playing as long as possible, or when you feel like quitting, throwing you success. So you get absolutely shit stomped for 3 games in a row in Call of Duty. All of a sudden, you're in the disabled people's lobby, having a great time dropping.
Did you see?
And then you're like, I'm gonna buy that skin.
Yeah,
I love this new
exactly. M4 skin right now. I use the M4. Drop a nuke. Buy an M4 skin.
This guy proved it that if you buy a skin, it will put you in a lobby with worse players because
I've heard that. Yeah,
because it puts new players in lobbies against people with skins. That way they'll want to buy the skin after they see it when they get beat by it. And so
Yes.
if you buy a skin, you're more likely to go against noobs. It's so funny.
I refuse to play any game with that type of skill-based matchmaking in it. Won't do it. I'm like,
then you
how
could
do I
buy-
feel good about
You
my
could buy
win?
Argon's longsword, and then you could get a couple kills.
Yeah, right. Next to my Argon's longsword has fire on it or something, and just. But to me, I can't have fun in a game knowing that it gifted me a win. Like it's like here, it's your turn to have a win, but now it's gonna be fucking miserable for the rest of the night.
No, I agree with you. My friend calls it the Wild West of gaming, and I like the Wild West way of doing it, where it's just whoever shows up in the lobby, that's who shows up.
To me, yep, that's the
Also,
best way.
there is no way to have skill-based matchmaking in a server browser server. And sooner than later, we're only going to have server browser servers. Eventually, matchmaking will die, and then the game will be basically only player-owned servers, and we're all going to be there. So you're not going to have skill-based matchmaking anyway.
The randomness of games is what makes those big moments and exciting things. So you might wind up in a super sweaty lobby, or you might drop a 100-kill game, and I think that's what makes it interesting. You don't want the
Yes.
same result every time. Like it's Call of Duty trying to push everyone towards a 1 KDA. It's stupid. Then all of your games are basically the same.
Right.
I agree.
All right. Any other good questions?
No, they're just saying we want boob sliders, boob and ass sliders. That's what I'm getting
I
in my
agree.
chat right now.
I agree.
Yeah, that's about
Speaking
it.
of that, I was thinking of picking up Conan Exiles on the Steam sale, and I was like, will I get TOS'd on Twitch if like someone just runs in front of me with their dick out?
You can, you
Oh,
can
I've
censor
played
it.
Mortal
You can censor it.
Mortal Online 2 with dicks out for Harambe pretty mode on.
I think it's allowed. I think it's
And
allowed.
did you get banned? Okay.
I will like I back then when I tried it, I didn't have as many viewers, but yeah, I was looking at my own schlong.
Well, I played Mordhau online for like an hour and a half and returned it on Steam, but now that I know you could whip out your dick, I might change my opinion on the game. As I said, it was like the worst
God.
game I ever played.
Yeah,
That's one of those weird games I watched people streaming, and I was like, it looks kind of good. I'm interested, and then I threw it up on my PC, and I'm like, why does it look fucking terrible? There were people floating in the air, like as people are hitting me from a mile away.
I couldn't do the PvE combat, dude. I mean,
it
the
felt
PvP
so bad.
is okay, but like when there's shiv out and the amount of work you need to do just to find fights, I don't know.
Not worth it.
It's not worth it. People like Jonah Vale love that game, though. Speaking of Jonah Vale, he's a
in
huge fan.
theory, it looks so good to me.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
so
He-
fun watching people. I just
He
He
likes
got
the
a
old
little too
score.
angry. Yeah, he got a little too angry over the Master's cut, but he has a total point. To play a game, you want stakes. Obviously.
Yeah.
It's a given that you want stakes. And unfortunately, in our favorite game, there is no stakes. And there never will be. And that's unfortunate. And that's also why I like comp, right? Because it adds stakes to the fun gameplay.
Right.
And that's all we want. We want to feel like our wins matter and our losses matter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there is no way to get that to happen in Chivalry at the moment.
there are games like something like Dark and Darker that if you just made it a deathmatch game, it would be a terrible game, right? But because it has stakes in it, it's high stake. It's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
amazing
That's why
game,
people
and I
love
think
Dark and
Dave
Darker,
hits it
yeah.
on that. Like adding significance to each one of your gameplays just adds so much. That adrenaline
Yes.
rush, the ups, the downs, the emotions adds so much. I
Yes.
mean, that's what made Escape from Tarkov so big too, and that's another thing that is.
Imagine
in
if you could
a lot of ways
bet
a horrible
skins.
game.
Imagine if you could bet skins on like duels and Shiv, like if they
Oh
had an
my
extensive skin library like CS:GO or something, and you could like bet your Argon sword.
1v1 me right now for the peasant cap.
that'd be dope. That would be sick.
Oh my god, that would be nutty. That would be nutty.
Well, I think that's why so many of the people who play Chivalry 2 ask for ranked, because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
know that it would be fun, and they also want to sweat.
I think it would be fun. I just think we've talked about this, but from their perspective, they're catering to such a small amount of the player base. That's probably not. It's not bringing people in who are going to spend money. It's just keeping people who are already there and going to stay there,
True.
or, no matter what. Like the hardcore shivers, Dave's not going anywhere. So whether you ask for add ranked or not, he's here. Why would we make a huge mode for him? Right? Like
Of
I
course.
feel like when we can drop a map and a trailer and pull people back in.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think at this point, what the game needs to keep players or population up. It's clear as day. Content release drops, a lot of people come back, play for a month or so, don't get content for a while, it dies down. We're in that stage right now where I see the fatigue from myself, from everyone in my Discord bitching about the game. We need a content update. And unless they're going to get every 3-month content, you're always going to see that kind of ride the wave.
And what if it takes till the end of the year this time?
Well, they said the summer.
They said summer.
Okay.
So we have until August 31st.
For the reinforced update, they said summer as well. That didn't happen.
That is true. I'm gonna
it's a
be
reasonable
an optimist
what if.
and hold them to their word.
So what if you're looking at, later in the year?
That's fine. That's why I've been playing some other games in between. You gotta have variety. You gotta have variety, man.
Stridah, I want to know what you're doing when the new update has one LTS map, the heavy crossbow as the weapon, a new battle pass which adds no new armor sets, but only different variants, but 10 different nicknames. What are you doing? What's the
I mean, I can tell
move?
you, I'm going to be bitching and moaning on social media, so that'll be part of it.
God, that's so funny.
I already actually have my mind in the route that if we're gonna get a summer update, I think it's gonna be a TDM map or something because they promised multiple free-for-all maps this year. We've gotten none so far, so they owe us at least 2. So I have the feeling that would come in the summer update. A battle pass would probably come, possibly a weapon. So I think it'll
mounted
be
duels. Yeah, we might get.
Mounted arena.
Yeah, mounted arena,
which we were supposed to get already. Instead, we got volley. I'm actually excited for that. I don't know if I'll ever play that more than once, but I'm excited to try.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to try.
It's bad.
I'm sure it will be. I think there will be a novelty for about a half hour, which.
Dude, it's finished, by the way.
I don't want to get. Well, I guess Dave's already
played it.
Discord. Yeah,
it's insane. It's something. It's something. It is you on a horse in a duel. That's cool.
I always like the one thing I will say about the horses. I like that the combat system holds up if you're mounted and sword to sword.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty
that
cool,
always
actually,
reminded me. Have you guys been to medieval times? Have you seen some of those fights? They'll always have jousting. Oh my God, Dave, you got to go. How haven't you been to medieval times?
I don't know. Look, I don't know why so many people hate horses as much as archers, because the horses they still work. If a guy runs up to you with a horse, you can counter him and you can hit him.
Yeah,
it's cool. But I can't do that to an archer, so I don't know. I like horses. You know me.
Yeah. As I always said, I don't mind the horses. I don't play with them or even barely know how to use them. But I don't really mind the horses. If they were in 64, it wouldn't totally bother me. In Mordhau, I hated cavalry mains more than I hated archers.
Cavalry were busted.
I loved the horse, dude. I loved the horse in Mordhau.
Low skill, one-shot potential. Any idiot with a lance could run around the map for an hour and just run people over in one shot.
Honestly, I think
still think lances are OP.
I think the cav sword on the horse right now in Shiv is worse than the Mordhau.
I haven't tried
couching.
it, so I have no opinion.
It goes through people, dude. You could just truck through people with it.
It lets you couch it and just hold it as an active hitbox, and as long as nobody blocks it, it will continue to stay in that attack animation even if it hits someone.
Yeah, you have to run out of stamina. Pretty much.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves.
Yes.
I went 11-0 instantly when it came out. I tried 40 man, and I just drilled 11 people in
back line,
less than a minute. I had 11 kills. I was like, what?
I still don't think it's as good as using a greatsword knight on horseback.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier.
The couch it's better than Lance. We can say that. The couch.
No, Lance is busted. Lance one shots.
No, but
nice.
you only have 3, hits with it or whatever. The cav sword, it's you could just run that thing forever.
You gotta go with a lance with a cav sword secondary.
Maybe go lance first and then cav sword. I mean, obviously lance is good, right?
Lance is because 200 plus damage. Okay.
Yeah, but it's got charges, so it's it's balanced.
It doesn't use the charge if they block, so it's 3 guaranteed kills.
Yeah. Well, cav sword is a trillion guaranteed kills.
Let's see what I got over here. Versace said PvE content can help when it comes to player retention. He said, I used to play For Honor longer because of the PvE stuff. It was challenging and fun.
A lot of people played Horde mode in Mordhau as well, which I never played.
You know what people played Horde mode in? Can you guess? It was Chivalry 1. Oh. Horde mode was very popular.
I was about to say Call of Duty Zombies.
I was like,
no. I mean, Chivalry 1, it had Horde mode. It was incredibly fun. You could fight skeletons and orcs and giants, and it was super fun. It's definitely not as advanced as Mordhau's new Horde mode, but they added that post-release. So there's no reason why Chivalry 2 can't add Horde mode post-release.
Dude, if they did a slight fantasy twist with that too, that'd be
it was
cool.
so fun. It was
maybe you can get
best.
power-ups and like you can
I remember this Horde mode. It was called like Crypt or something. So fun. You're killing skeletons, and it was like old school skeletons too. Like you hit them and they bleed, and it was so funny and it was really enjoyable. So I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah. I would play a single player RPG Kingdom Come Deliverance with Chivalry Combat. Sign me up. Take my money.
Of course.
But I don't think Chivalry's ever coming with a PvE.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would just say there's zero chance.
I've said the first person who makes a PvE slasher is going to make $1 bajillion easily, because
slasher MMO
like
as well, maybe like
even
a
a
good one.
toned down Chivalry Combat is way easier to pick up for a casual than Kingdom Come Deliverance's combat.
I agree, and I also think that lock-on combat for melee games is cringe, and I just think it's
I hate lock-on.
After playing Chivalry for so long, I straight up think that lock-on is inferior in pretty much every way.
Can't go back. Go back.
I think that a PvE game like Chivalry would be like 10 times better.
Amazing, yeah.
Maybe not for fighting giant dragons and stuff, but
I'm still like of the perspective that slashers in PvE are not that fun. I still have yet to be proven wrong.
What one have you played?
Really
like, so I'm probably with you, and I would never play Horde mode. Period. I have zero interest in it. I won't like it. I won't play it. So like that type of PvE, I won't. But I love games like The Witcher or Kingdom Come Deliverance. If they had some sort of like active combat system, it could be so toned down from Shiv. I mean, I would enjoy the hell out of it.
I mean, Warhammer looks like it would be fun for a day or two.
I didn't play that.
I mean, Dark and Darker. Imagine Dark and Darker without PvP.
It'd be the worst. That's what I said earlier.
It would be the worst game ever.
Dark and Darker as even Team Deathmatch would be a horrible game.
Yeah.
Horrible.
The PvE in that game is fun with a buddy though, because it is hard and like you have to kind of work together. But then after you do it, you're like, okay, all right, this is getting tedious now.
I think it's fun because the experience, the risk.
The dungeons.
But the combat is dog shit. It is dog shit. The combat is horrible.
I don't know. I've yet to be proven wrong. Like I would love to be proven wrong. Is what I'm trying to say. That I have yet to see a really fun slasher that I would spend 500 hours at least in that's PvE based.
It's quite a lot of hours.
I mean
compared to Shiv,
a single player game for me, you have
other
a 20
PvE games.
You have a 20 to 30 hour window for single player to finish, or I'm probably never going to play it again.
Okay,
which it's
a character
flaw.
ARPGs
But
I play is
have
all
you guys
PvE,
ever played Dark Souls or Elden Ring or anything like that?
Yeah.
Refuse to play.
Okay, right. Just replace all the parts where you dodge rolled with countering. Boom. You have a single player slasher.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but Elden Ring it's not the same. You can it's not the same as something like Shiv. It's when people say
I know. Obviously, just conceptualize. Instead of the boss going like wah and you dodge, he goes rah and you counter. That's it.
That's Sekiro. There's already games out there.
I don't like Dark
a lot of people think Sekiro's really good.
Yeah.
I don't like Dark Souls style combat. I don't like rolling around on the floor like a fool in full armor. Not a fan.
I agree. It's dog in comparison to Chivalry, but I'm just saying, like, just try and understand like a game like that where you're fighting a guy and he throws an attack at you and you counter him and then you get hit in and you do that like 50 times and then he's dead.
To me, Kingdom Come Deliverance is the gold standard. Add Chivalry combat into that, and it would just be so good, so good.
I enjoyed my KCD playthrough. My chat knows who was there for that.
I got to start up on that again. I've been ADDing with other games, and Yeah, I did Medieval Dynasty the other day on stream, and it was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah,
too.
I saw you playing that. How would you think? I played it a long time ago.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's slow, but there's kind of good opportunities.
No,
to
it's
make
like
content
methodical, and you're like building a little
Yeah.
civilization, and they have bandits now and stuff, right? I played it
Yes,
like
I haven't
right
seen
when
a
they
bandit
released
yet,
it, and
but
it was kind of dog
fell
water.
We fell into the rabbit hole of me hunting for like 2 hours, and I was like cutting down trees to climb on top of them and try to kill bears by chucking like 30 spears at them, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I played a little bit off stream today, actually. I like having a chill game that you can watch some like TV or something on the monitor, watch some Twitch. It's just kind of like a half-ass play. So I liked it. We got Clay is asking, in addition to more content, does anyone like playing defense? No.
I do.
How about balancing that
I
so
like
it's
it
not
on-
dog shit
I
in
just-
typical Clay standards?
The only map that I really hate playing defense on is Dark Forest. I just hate it now. Every time I get it, I never team swap though, and I stick it out. But like, it's just so aggravating, man. But I
Nobody
don't
likes-
mind defense on a lot of other maps. I don't.
Yeah, nobody likes an objective where they're guaranteed to lose. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah.
But I actually like defense. I like playing it.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not guaranteed an L 100% like Dark Forest Stage 1 or Bridgetown Stage 1, then I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me getting one of those streams where I play nothing but defense for 2 hours straight is pretty much like a guaranteed rage quit or I cry the whole time. But I go in stages with how badly I hate defense, and when you have all the new players in the game and you don't have all the veterans switching to attack to completely fuck up the game for everyone, it's not too bad playing defense. You can throw up high kill games, get good ratios. It can be fine. It's no problem. But then when population gets small and you have all the bitches swapping attack every round and you're the only person on defense with a bunch of Game Pass noobs getting massacred, then it's awful. So, like,
I mainly play
as bad
competitive.
yet,
I don't have that
but-
problem.
Yeah, Dave's on the team swap attack. You know. But.
No, I mean I just don't play I don't really play like casually all the time.
Yeah,
I
know. Well, you go in stages, right?
What do you
Where
mean?
sometimes you'll hop on TO for a week or two, but then you'll
Exactly. Yeah. Like I play.
Then you won't come
I play
back for a while.
casually so infrequently compared to when I play the matches that it's like
Yeah.
I don't have
Well,
the problems as much as you guys do.
Dave also has like a jam-packed schedule of events at all times. Like he's
Not lately,
literally,
but yeah, before
Dave
I
is
did.
in every event that happens. Period. Period. Doesn't matter what region, what time of day. Dave is in it.
every tournament, yes, every tournament
Yes.
I like to show up to.
Dude, I'm like I can handle like one of those things a month, and I'm like, yo, I'm cooked mentally. I need a break. Dave is like Friday, Saturday, Sunday competitive. He's like, I got LTS Friday, duels on Saturday, free for all on Sunday.
But you play in pubs, right?
Yes.
I don't play pubs.
Yeah. Well, I think pubs is so good, especially for streaming and stuff, because I can just like chill and kind of like half-ass play and talk.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. It's like for me, it's enjoyable talking
Like-
to stream more than the game sometimes. But yeah.
Like when we're playing pubs, you can multitask. I'm playing, but I'm all like autopiloting, so it's just all muscle. You know what I mean? Like I might not even know what objective I'm doing, but you can do that. When I'm in the comps, I talk a lot less. Obviously, I don't read the chat or anything. I'm focused on
When I
what
have to
gotta
get
do.
footage, that's when I'll stream pubs. So like I was making the quarterstaff video, and then that was like, okay, this is an opportunity to play pubs, and I streamed myself just using quarterstaff in pubs for like a few hours, and that's like my pubs for the month.
And Azul says that he's going to dethrone Dave,
When?
and Guru says he already did.
Who?
That you have to Guru. That's got to be
Guru?
someone. Guru.
Oh yeah, he might. He's a goat.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure Dave will have some tricks up his sleeve.
Because the duel tournaments have been really like annoying to run lately because of all the issues. There's probably not going to be one until like private servers come out. So it's going to be a while before a lot of the good duelists get back to actually dueling competitively.
All right. Look, sometimes a little bit of a lull in the action makes people excited for things to happen. You do it if you do it every week, then people get sick of it. So, not a bad thing. Anyone else have any questions before we end here? Cisa Constant Dave probably has tricks up his mustache. I can almost guarantee he does. Like,
Always do.
Dave's baiting these guys. He's gonna come out against Azul with like a candelabra or something and know some weird strategy to.
He's working on quarterstaff. I saw. his video.
Like some weird strategy to that no one else knows. I can guarantee you, he a flute something. Dave's coming out. He's coming out with the secret
Recorder.
strat.
Hit him.
Recorder.
Recorder.
Yeah, Dave comes out and recorders everyone to death. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know what to do. Oh, they want to know why Scotty shaved.
Because I was looking
why?
like a homeless person.
No, you weren't.
I shaved today, and it was too much, dude. It was looking.
I didn't see it recently. I didn't.
Oh,
see it recently.
yeah. I haven't shaved since the last podcast we did either. So it was like a month
been a bit.
of raggedy, and I was like, I looked at myself in the mirror this morning, and I was like, it's time to get this creature off my face.
Azul is challenging Dave to a first to 5.
Oh God.
Well, you don't get to just come in here and call out the king, Azul. Like, you got to earn the spot. You gotta bend the knee to Dave before.
We accept the first to 5s. We just do it for $30. $30.
Oh, I forgot that Dave will do anything for money.
Yeah,
including
anything for
archery,
money.
Yeah.
Anything.
Oh God,
Dude, I love money.
I feel like if Dave had like a really important thing, like he had to pick up like his wife somewhere, and someone ordered him like $10 to go drive somewhere else, he'd be like, she's on her own, take it over. Oh man! All right, gentlemen. Anyone else before we wrap it up here? I'm on limited time tonight, so I'll probably hop in a game for like a half hour or so. I know people want to see me get in game, but.
All right.
Nothing else?
Yeah, I think
Boys?
we're good.
All
Guys,
right, I think
great podcast.
Much
love.
No, it was great. I know we went a lot of time, but I think we haven't been in here for a while, so
Yeah, and we
make
got
up for
nothing
lost
going on
time.
tonight either. So
yeah. Everyone's avoiding playing Chivalry. So. All right, gentlemen. Peace out. Love to all.
hey, peace out. Much love, guys.